Well, Nicola and fellow delegates, I just want to clear up that matter of the hat. Nicola, your fears are unfounded. I did bring the hat back from Delhi, but Moira beat you to it. She confiscated it. Which was a great pity, because I thought it could have been a much sought-after auction prize at this conference. But the main thing about Delhi, ladies and gentlemen, didn't our team do themselves and Scotland proud? And, you know, it's worth reflecting on why the Commonwealth Games are of such significance to Scotland. Of course, one obvious reason is the next host city is our own, the great city of Glasgow. But, you know, the Games are also special because it's the only multi-sports event where Scotland takes part as a nation in our own right. Now, there's no doubt what the team thinks about that. They are the most highly motivated group of young people it's ever been my pleasure to meet. The other 70 nations of the Commonwealth have entrusted Scotland with the 2014 Games. In Delhi's magnificent closing ceremony, the Scottish team, the Scottish presentation, Scotland itself was cheered to the echo. There's no doubt about what these other countries think of Scotland. The question is whether that opinion, that high opinion, is shared by ourselves. Do we, all of the people of Scotland, think that this nation is good enough, bright enough and rich enough to participate in our own right, not just in the sporting arena, but across the range of human endeavour? Delegates, one of our party's founders, Robert Cunningham Graham, once said, "The problem for Scotland is not the English, who are great and noble people. The problem for Scotland is those Scots who are born without imagination." Now, in one sense, he was wrong. People aren't born without imagination. It's drummed out of them, often by political parties who have a vested interest in lowering the expectations of the Scottish people. So, delegates, your job, my job, our job, is to change the condition of our country by persuading our fellow citizens that by working together we can make Scotland better. Our objective is to spread the vision of a fair society built with the tools of an independent nation. Now, I know that you'll do your job. After 3.5 years of minority government, we have come so far and so well because of the hard work and loyalty of this party. Every minister, every MSP are indebted to you. Without your support, we could not have sustained this administration and its many successes. But, delegates, we are in new and trying times. The support of this party alone will not see Scotland come out of this crisis better and stronger. For that, we need to work together across Scotland. Remember, we govern, not for the SNP, but for Scotland, for the welfare of this nation and all of its 5 million people. Now, we face an election in a short while. To my mind, the choice is simple. Either Scotland stays in the Westminster straitjacket of low growth, public sector cutbacks and blighted futures, or we take responsibility and deliver the better society that we all want. And make no mistake, friends, the people know where the responsibility for this crisis lies. Labour created it. The Tory-Liberal coalition are in the process of making it worse. Now, I know that some folk in the Labour Party hope that now they're in opposition, we'd all engage in a form of collective amnesia. that we would all forget the appalling mess into which they led this country. Unfortunately for them, it hasn't worked out like that. This week's BBC Mori poll showed that 42% blame Labour, compared with 39% blaming the Condemn coalition. A mere 13% blamed us, but they were all Lord George Fultes's relatives. Now, someone recently, I can't recall exactly who, said that Ed Miliband gets Scotland. Well, Scotland gets Labour on responsibility for the economic crisis. Mind you, Labour are doing a fair job at keeping their heads down. Polls show a mere 9% recognise their leader in Scotland. I'm reminded of a newspaper article some years ago that praised John, Nicola and the team under the title The Magnificent Seven. And I've been thinking what film title would work for Labour's Holyrood team. The Night of the Living Dead. And as to the leader, well, it has to be the Invisible Man. Now, in tough times, the nation needs clear leadership and a positive future. I stand before you offering exactly that. We have demonstrated our credentials over these last 3 years. Minority, the government places limitations on what can be done. This much we know. We've tried to compromise where possible, and we'll always put the interests of the people of Scotland first. For that reason, we shared our submission to the Ministry of Defence and the looming cuts to our air bases, our shipyards and related employment. We will fight to save the carriers and the air bases, and the more we stand united as a nation, then the stronger our case will be. We've already lost 10,000 defence jobs in Scotland over recent years. However, on some things we draw the line. We shall never desert the cause of unilateral nuclear disarmament. Spending £100,000 million on we do not have, on a weapons system we don't need, which takes much-needed money from every other budget, is a criminal act. The renewal of Trident is an obscenity, and this party will continue to fight it tooth and nail. Trident, of course, when at least there's a policy difference. Labour and Tory are for it, we are against it. The Liberals, well, they're both for it and against it. However, in general, over the piece, I don't believe the difference between the parties at Holyrood is so great to have quite as many of the disputes that we do. It is sad, genuinely sad, that Labour set itself against minimum pricing for alcohol. You know, I've looked through their arguments and find not the clear blue water of difference, but the sandy grit of opposition for opposition's sake. It is pathetic that when faced with a real challenge for public health which requires the collective will of the Parliament, then the Labour Party simply ran away.